Hello everyone. I realize that this looks a bit intimidating at first, but that's why I've sectioned it off into multiple parts for it to be easier to understand. The first part we're going to look at is the easiest part of how to find out how many subnets we want. If we go here, we can see I want to have a certain number of subnets. All I have to do is put 2 to the power of whatever number that might be, and the result will be the amount of subnets I have. For example, if I did 2 to the power of 0, I would have 0 subnets. It would just be the one unsubnetted network. If I were to do 2 to the power of 1, I would have 2 subnets. That would mean that my network is split into 2 pieces. And because I want in my example to have 4 subnets, then I will use 2 to the power of 2. What I'll do is I'll take this 2 right here and I'll bring it up to here. Now that we already know we have 4 subnets, now we need to look for how many hosts are going to be in each subnet. So we change this, we add 2 to this number at the very end here, and it becomes /10. And what we're going to do then is subtract that number from 32. This number will always be 32. You will always subtract from 32 because 32 is the maximum subnet mask that you can have. So we're subtracting these 10 from the max, and that will give us 22. Then we get 2 to the power of 22 by bringing this down, and that will give us 4,194,304 hosts per sub. Okay, I messed up saying that. I'm going to try saying it again. 4,194,304 hosts per subnet. There we go. So now that we have the 2 of those, we're going to go all the way back over here, and we'll see we added 2 to our subnet mask of /8 to get 10. What we're then going to do is we're going to translate it to a decimal. And to do that, I have this neat little chart right here made for us. You can ignore all the stuff on the right for now. Each octet is going to have 8 bits in it. So we can count out from left to right. But wait a minute. Our subnet mask is /10, not /8. So what do? Well, because each octet has 8 in it, we're going to move on to the right. We're going to go from left to right as if we're reading a book. So we're going to add all of these together from left to right, and that will give us 255, which is 8 bits in our octet. So you'll see here 255. Then, because we've used 8, we need 2 more to make it 10. So we'll add from left to right, like reading a book once again. 128 plus 64 equals 192. So this second octet will be 192, and the rest will all be zeros. So now that we've translated our subnet mask, we're going to subtract that number that we got, the last octet that is not a 0. This could be any octet as long as it's the one right next to a 0. And if there are no zeros, you're going to use the last one. Luckily for us, there is a 0. So we are going to be using this one right here next to the 0. So we're going to subtract this number right here, the 192, from 256. Because once again, that is the highest number you can go to. And that will give us 64. Now, we have our magic number, 64. We have our number of subnets, 4. And we have our host per subnet. And that is all the information that we need to find our final answer. So, how I did this is quite simple. In the circled area right here, whatever it may be, the last octet that is not a 0, we are going to add our magic number to. In this case, it's going to be the second octet. So 10.0.0 10.0 becomes 10.64.0.0. And you add 64 once again, that's the third subnet. And this is the fourth subnet. Now, the very end of a subnet is the broadcast address of the subnet. And everything in between that is your range, the usable host addresses. And hopefully that helped. I'm going to zoom out all the way and give a good view of all of this math in case you ever need it sometime. Whoop.